Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you on a Monday evening this time after Thanksgiving weekend festivities. As always, I'm joined by Andrew Combo Salop, and we're going to talk all about the NBA. We haven't really even discussed what we're going to talk about, so it's going to be exciting and flying by the seat of our pants. There are some games going on right now, so thank you for hopping over here while those games are going. We'll try and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So, Combo, what's going on, my man?
I guess we're just freestyling today.
Yeah, I wish I had my little, a turntable. I could be doing some.
Oh,
some
you
mixing.
DJ? You DJ?
No, I don't.
Oh,
but I used to watch people DJ, like in the bedroom, like in the '80s. That was always fun.
yeah. The DJ was like
You
the whole.
how you used to, scratch records and stuff.
Of course. Come on,
All right.
people. I mean, back in the day, like now, DJs got the laptop. They used to carry the crates with them back at those times.
Oh, I know. Well, I just watched a funny video where this woman was up there in front of like thousands of people, and they had the shot, and she clearly was faking. It wasn't really doing anything, but it looked good. Like she had the whatever. In these days, it's all pre-done. But nonetheless, let's get into it, shall we? What's up, Martin? Good to see you, friend of the breakdown. Josh is from Melbourne. I was just talking to a coach in Australia, so stay tuned if you're in that area, in the Adelaide area. Perhaps I will be heading down there at some point to do some shooting clinics. It's funny because I asked him about this because a lot of the NBA guys from Australia come and they don't shoot well. You're talking, well, Dellavedova actually became a decent shooter, but his shot form was frightening. Actually, Ingles is the same way. He's able to get it to go in, but man, both of their shots are from the side of their head. Giddey doesn't shoot well. Ben Simmons didn't shoot well, although he's mostly American, I think. But he confirmed some things like, there's a big push down there to have 10 toes to the rim, completely square, and no dipping. And I think it really helps. Now, Patty Mills is a great point, Josh, that he was the one guy that kind of came out of there with the beautiful jump shot. Somebody told me, though, he wasn't really in the main Australian system, although maybe then someone else told me that wasn't true either. But like if he was an Aborigine, perhaps he was somewhere else where he was able to do his own thing more and not affected by that. But I don't know. Do you have any takes on the Australian shooting?
I mean, I kind of like Joe Ingles' jump shot.
You do?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, come on.
I feel like he doesn't offensively have that many weaknesses. Not that he's like the greatest shooter in the world, but it's not a weakness for him in any sense.
I mean, listen, I can't argue his career. I'm actually shocked. His career 3-point percentage is 41%, basically.
Yeah, he can shoot, man. That guy can shoot.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like there's like a load up going on, right? There's like an interesting load up, but he's so tall that he don't have to shoot it as fast as maybe some of his counterparts. I noticed players from Europe and Australia, when they have more time to shoot, they'll take more time to shoot. And Americans tend to shoot at the same speed, even when they're catch and shoot wide open.
Which I would probably recommend, right? There's no sense in like waiting and taking your time. Just get this nice rhythm and shoot it. I would think. To me, I feel like that's more room to miss it sometimes. And you kind of catch it. Now you're thinking about it too much, and then going into it that way.
I mean, if you have so much experience doing it that way, I think it works for some people who play over there.
Yeah. So I got to talk to Patty Mills and figure out exactly why his jump shot's prettier than most. Now, there are some guys down under who are playing in the Australian Pro League, the NBL, and like oh my God, I was just talking about his name, Goulding, beautiful jump shot, can nail every shot any which way, but he dips and he probably turns. I got to look at it a little bit more closely, but the funny thing about that is that when I see players that shoot the ball the side of their head, like you see Dellavedova and Ingles, to me it's because they were forced to be square, and the only way they can get their elbow like underneath the ball is to have the ball all the way to the side of their head, and just a simple turn really helps everything.
I think it's unfair to compare Ingles and Dellavedova when it comes to shooting, especially after that viral clip of Dellavedova shooting for the Kings. I think it was last year. It looked crazy. I don't know if you could look that up, but his jump shot is very unique. Way more unique and funny than Ingles.
I don't think so. I don't know. The Ingles was way out the side too. It's almost, they're cousins.
I don't know, man. It's just there's a lot more like torque and force in Dellavedova. It's not as smooth,
I guess. Now the thing with Ingles, I want to credit him for for the first time allowing me to understand that, like, while he doesn't dip in the traditional sense down up, he dips back forward like Larry Bird. And studying that a few years ago is what opened my eyes. I'm like, oh, I realize he actually is getting the other direction before going up and out. It's just going horizontally for him, which is is just good. And it's the same thing that Bird did. And I have a feeling Bird did the same thing with the side of his head release because he wanted to be 10 toes to the rim and could find no other way to get his elbow in line with the hoop. So, people adapt, but you don't have to adapt when you get, good coaching that has some variability there. We have our first super chat already. Can you believe that?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So don't forget, if you want your questions asked or answered, you can ask your question anytime you like, but if you want it answered, the super chat is the way to go on YouTube. We really, really thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It really helps the show to keep going. So, let's do that. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to tweet the show out. What was I doing for that?
So do that, and I'll read it. How about that?
Okay, I'm going to put it up.
Yeah. Ooh, Knicks, the streets are buzzing. Huge friend of the show. We appreciate the super chat. Why do bigs historically shoot poorly from the free throw line? Mitch Robinson has line drives. Yeah, Mitch's is tough. And then I saw, Tristan Thompson went viral the other day, right, with that air ball. Or maybe I just thought it was viral because it was so bad while I was watching it. He had a terrible air ball the other day, and he's a big.
Wow, I've been unplugged a little bit, I guess. I haven't seen that, but I'm not surprised. By the way, Tristan Thompson notable because he switched hands in mid career to shoot the other hand.
It was so bad. Like I can't even use the word energy transfer in his shot on there. Like, first of all, his first problem was that he was leaning over the basketball, which is really tough. It gives you not the most natural shooting motion because you have to bring the ball around the body before you shoot. So,
all right, I'm calling it up right now. Just so I want to see Mitchell Robinson, just so I can remember. I put it in my head because I can't picture it right now for some bizarre reason. But let's go to the cumulative here. Free throw attempts. Where are you here? There you are.
I could send it to you too.
Oh yeah, send that to me too. I guess while you're doing it. I'm going to look at some of these while we're talking. But by the way, the notion of historical bigs not being good three-pointers is kind of wrong. Historically, they used to be really good. The big guys could shoot free throws in the 60s and 70s. So whatever this thing now is a newer thing that started probably with, I'm thinking of the Knicks, the guy that went to Yale or Princeton. No, what was his name? The big guy who was just had the worst shot, might have had the worst free throw form of all time. Someone's going to remind me who it was in the 90s.
Check your phone, Coach Nick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what he was thinking historically, he wasn't thinking 60s or 70s. He was thinking like the last 40 years or so.
Fair enough. And that is the thing. But don't forget, way back in the day, it was the opposite. So, why is that? That's the Tristan Thompson. I mean, okay, that seems like a kind of everyday run-of-the-mill air ball from the free throw line. I don't know, right?
Every day that was terrible. Oh my God.
Oh, is it gonna hang on?
No, you did it too late.
Oh boy, can I do it and then make sure everyone can
actually? I think.
Oh well. Anyway, so what do you think? Why do you think the bigs are struggling so much with? It wasn't Cartwright. It was Chris Dudley. Thank you, Kevin. We'll put him up there, Kevin Dudley. Oh wait, go back, Kevin Dudley. Thank you, Kevin. Chris Dudley.
Really, I mean, the answer I would have had maybe 5 years ago is that their hands are bigger, that their body shaped differently. My answer now is that they're not getting the right information.
Yeah. I try. I mean, I shot. I remember I went on a really small hoop and I put it a little bit lower, like as if I was a 7-footer, and I shot tennis balls. And I could, after a few times, could kind of get a rhythm.
Well, their hands aren't that big, by the way.
Yeah, well, Shaq, his hands were getting pretty big, but I don't think that's it at all. I think that there's a power generation thing. I remember talking to John Koncak about this, who I think was a pretty good free throw shooter, and he was 7 feet. And I think he was the first guy to sign a big free agent contract, which is kind of crazy because he wasn't really worth it. But let me make sure he was a good free throw.
I played with a kid in college who actually ended up playing in the G League, James Smith, and he was a 7-footer, but he had really small hands and really short arms, and he was a really good shooter. And our coach used to never liked him shooting threes, even though he got really good out of it, making the G League, playing professionally for years. But I always thought that he was better than most 7-footers at shooting because his arms were shorter and his hands were smaller.
That's interesting. I mean, I remember asking Koncak, who ended up being not a very good free throw shooter at all. I don't think I realized at the time, but his form, in my mind's eye, was pretty good. But I think, the biggest thing for bigs is that they're so big and they're so tall. They're worried about shooting the ball like over the backboard. It's like really hard for power calibration when you're that big, and they have a hard time figuring out how to adjust that. That's not hard to do if you know how, the tricks of the trade. But I mean, listen, like what's his face? It was really easy for someone like DeAndre Jordan to fix it, where he was 10 toes to the rim. Speaking of that, and he really could struggle. He could struggle from just getting the elbow underneath and getting the right rhythm on that. And at some point he started to turn, and he wouldn't. He had some sort of hitch going on that he kind of cleaned up in training camp one year, and then kind of bailed on it when the season started. He must have gotten scared or didn't want to risk it or something. I don't know. But that's generally the issue there, because remember, mental aspect is so important for shooting of any kind. And then connected to that is the rhythm. And if you can sync the arm swing up with the legs straightening, shooting wise on a jump shot or free throw, then you can achieve that rhythm and find a replicable shot. But that's the problem I think they're having.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's part of it is that they're just bigger than other humans, right? It has to be some of it. Yeah.
I think it's part of it. I think part of it. But I think more of it's probably mental. Because then, you talk about like the Dwight Howard's, he would shoot really well in practice, supposedly, and then, couldn't get anywhere near in the games.
Yeah, I was actually watching the Knicks game, and they were like saying that Mitch really like reps it out. They were talking about Mitch specifically, and I mean, like if you're repping out a way that's not working over and over and over again, you're just not getting the right information. You're not implementing the information that needs to be implemented. So
I'm looking at. Oh yeah, I remember now. I saw this. I'm looking at Mitchell Robinson right now. So yeah, like first of all, he gets in this weird set position I don't like, where he's bent over at the waist before he shoots. I don't like that.
Why don't you like a player being bent over? Because I have my thoughts on that.
Because I don't want you to be like having to then sort of sit up into that shot. I'd rather have you be where you want to be, so you go down, your body goes down and up. Wait, let me make sure that I feel that way. I'm doing this. Right. Yeah. So I don't want to be like this. Let me see if you can see me. So I don't want to be like bent here and then have that motion while I'm trying to straighten my legs at the same time.
Right. Posture is important because you have to move the ball around your body if you don't have proper posture.
Yes. So that's part of it. But let me go and watch another one, because there's something else. I kind of like, he's sort of no, he doesn't. It actually doesn't even look that bad to me. The elbow and all that whole thing. But I see there's an energy transfer problem where he starts to sort of shove it forward instead of shooting it too. So this could be fixed, but it's not bad. I don't mind what he's doing. He just hasn't quite figured out how to transfer the energy. I think also the legs and the arms aren't synced properly, which again would be 2 sessions. You could fix this. What is he at? Is he at under 40? He's at what, 30 something?
I don't think he's that low.
I think I saw a tweet that said he's going to be the first player. Or was it Mitchell Robinson? Unless it was somebody else. Let me tell you right now.
I mean, Andrew Wiggins was shooting worse than that at one point. I don't know if it went up.
Yeah. Mitchell Robinson right now is at 35%. That's what I thought.
Oh, my God.
He'll be the first player ever to shoot that low on 2 attempts per game if he doesn't do something about it.
He's really good, too.
Yeah, I could get him, I believe. You could get him to 55, 60. No problem. And don't forget, like anything above 55 or 60, then you wouldn't foul him, because you could be getting 1 point per possession on it, if you make half your shots. So it wouldn't be worth it for that. And then he'd be viable. So that's a problem. That would limit his minutes in theory, because I would probably foul him. Anyhow, we have another super chat. This came in, I think. I didn't want to miss another ones. But let's see here. It is from Braun. Best friend of the breakdown. Braun, great to see you. I love the way guards are modernizing older sets as screeners. OKC spams roll and replace, but with their guards, and they get a good shot every time. So they're letting their guards be the screeners.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this in the finals with Denver, Jamal Murray.
Oh, yeah.
Jokic,
I love it when
rolling. He's a really good roller. We've seen talk about another guy who was a Nugget last year. Bruce Brown was playing that short roller role, right, with the Nets when he was playing a small ball 5. So, yeah, we've been seeing a lot of this lately, and it's really interesting because sometimes your better decision makers are your guards, and once they get it in that short roll or when they roll, it's just dangerous.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think it's also related to, like when I want to see more guards post up, because
Exactly.
face up from 12 feet for Steph Curry or 15 feet, would be in like a layup for him. And imagine, to get him down there. So there's a lot of those. I love it when they invert stuff like that. And, and have, like a point guard set a ball screen and then they pop. Absolutely. All that stuff is great, which kind of reminds me of the video I just did yesterday. I don't know if you had a chance to peek at it or not, but I focused on get action. And man, it was a deep dive. I went through just about every team, probably like 20 some teams out of the 30 to find good at get action, which if you're not familiar is if I were to pass you the ball, I follow it right back on the outside and you hand it back off to me. And then I turn the corner.
Great question, Bron. I wanted to slightly switch the topic, and this is actually what I wanted to ask you, Coach Nick, because I saw a clip of Kenny the Jet Smith. And I know you're almost like an expert on the Warriors. That's one of the teams you really focus on over the years. I've noticed. So Kenny the Jet Smith was saying that Mark Jackson almost saved basketball because Steph Curry wasn't getting a lot of minutes in the fourth quarter. And Mark Jackson was the guy that allowed him to play in the fourth quarter. And then Steph Curry eventually became a superstar and was a big part of basketball. He became the face of basketball alongside Steph Curry, right? I mean, alongside LeBron James over the, past 10 years or so. But my question to you is, wasn't Steph Curry playing more of a traditional type point guard before Steve Kerr got there? Or was he playing off the ball as well when Mark Jackson was there?
No, he was playing off the ball. In fact, remember when Mark Jackson was there, they'd have who's the guy from Georgia Tech who played alongside him and was getting a lot of those minutes at point guard.
Oh, he's good too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Come on,
Jared. No, not Jared Jack. Jared Jack. Yeah.
So they would have him playing that main ball handler role, and that was actually a really good thing that unlocked a lot of stuff for them. Let me make sure I'm gonna go back to that last year. But I just think that Kenny is just trying to do a solid for Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson must be trying to.
Well, my main thing is that I just wanted to know if he was playing that off-ball guard type role when Mark Jackson was there. That was my main question.
He was, yeah. But like the fourth quarter minutes thing that that they're trying to say, like, I don't know, Curry's a starter. Well, of course he's going to be playing fourth quarter minutes. Like,
well, was he a starter and playing a lot of minutes before Mark Jackson got there?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, let's look here. The year before Mark Jackson got there, the coach was Keith Smart, and Curry started 74 games and played 34 minutes a game. So I don't know. He averaged almost 18.6, and was shot 44% from three. Like, I don't know, man. Let me look at the
So
season
you think he's one of those undeniable talents that would have got that kind of role eventually, no matter what, and he would have been Steph Curry on any team. I mean, the
year before that, he started 77 of the 80 games. So it's like, Mark Jackson didn't suddenly start playing him in the fourth quarter. I mean, that just seems silly.
Okay, my question to you is, do you feel like he's one of those undeniable talents like LeBron? Like wherever LeBron goes, he's going to be all-time great. Doesn't matter who the coach is. Yeah. Doesn't matter where the franchise is.
That's a good question.
Do you believe that to be the case with Steph Curry?
Right. Like had Steve Kerr not come along and instituted the triangle offense concepts, would Steph Curry have ever been unlocked? It's a really good question. Because otherwise he would have been, just a very good 20-point a game scorer who could shoot the lights out, right? That's what he would, but he wouldn't have been transformational. It's very possible that he might not have. Yeah. I mean, listen, right. LeBron would have been him no matter what. Jordan would have been him no matter what he ran. Ironically enough, the triangle offense is what unlocked Jordan to all the titles. I'm very curious. I don't know.
I think it's the same for Kobe, Larry Bird. It's the same for those guys.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. Steph was great, and Steph had, at the height of his powers, things that he was the best shooter we've ever seen. So there's no question he was going to cause the kind of problems that he causes even now. But I would think they would have figured that one out. But it might not be as automatic of a decision, like it might be as clear as it would have been for LeBron or somebody who's just so much more physically dominating that you can kind of just say, oh yeah, he dominated no matter what.
But now because of Steph Curry, players like him will get the keys earlier, right? Like Trae Young might have not have got the keys if there wasn't a Steph Curry before him. Great
point. By the way, the guy that helped him fix his ankles is also a huge part of that. right? Because otherwise he wouldn't have had his, that resurgence in his career, having broken down a lot in the beginning. So that's another part of it. So yeah, it's all these things mixed together. And it's like Steve Kerr, for instance. Steve Kerr would not be coaching the Warriors right now if his agent hadn't gotten him to Chicago in 1994. When Michael retired, and then the first time, and then he got there, and then he was there for the second three-peat. Like, all those things happen that gets Kerr on a trajectory where he can now be where he is. Where before that, he was like stuck in Cleveland, couldn't get off the bench, was about to be washed out of the NBA. And just like that, I guarantee you, he wouldn't have got a shot, to call the games and then to, be the coach, be the GM of the Suns, all that stuff. So it's a fascinating thing how all those stars align.
Or even after those championships, he could have chosen to go with Phil Jackson to the Knicks.
Yeah. So, all right. So we covered Bron's question. We got some more super chats. Let's get to them. What do you say? Martin Jose, friend of the breakdown, best friend of the breakdown. Martin, thank you. Thoughts on the Magic? They're off to a good start. Second seed behind Boston, have a 7-game winning streak. Bucks have the same record in the third. I'm going to do a video on them. I was just thinking I might even want to go to Orlando and do something really cool with the team. So I got to figure that out, because if I don't, I might not be able to do that until like February. But I guess I can do 2 videos on the Magic. There's no rule against that, right?
Not at all. I love the Magic.
So, but we love the Magic. What's not to love? I love Banchero. I loved him since Duke. We love Franz, friend of the breakdown, by the way. If you haven't seen that interview, I did an interview I posted last year with Franz Wagner in exclusive, which is really cool of him. Who else do we love?
Jalen Suggs' defense has been incredible.
Yes,
that's another revelation.
I'm waiting for him to make the next level of offensive development.
Mo Wagner had 27 recently, so shouts to Franz's brother. Cole Anthony has been great off the bench. I mean, they're just really deep. And I thought Anthony Black was a great draft decision. I think.
But Jonathan Isaac has been out there wreaking havoc defensively, and it's just so nice to see him back on the court. Is all I can tell you. Well.
Yeah, I mean, and Anthony Black, he's going to be a really good player in the NBA for a lot of years. Just super great feel for the game. Really special on the defensive side as well. Markelle Fultz, obviously, he revived his career with Orlando. I mean, they got a lot of pieces, and they got great positional size on top of that.
Right, and they got Jingles out there as well. So they have a lot of pieces. They've done
Jingles.
a really nice job. Yeah.
Yeah, he's they kind of like took the G League Ignite route with Angles, like, let's get one veteran in here with our young guys,
Mm-hmm.
And he's been really benefiting them. It's kind of like what's happening with the Rockets with Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, like, get some veterans in here with our younger players, and it's working out really well.
Yeah, and then shout out to the Rockets, who are also doing very well, and a much needed turnaround from what they had the last few years. But it just reminds me, for some reason, I'm not even sure why, the Paul George trade, which is somewhat related to the James Harden trade, whatever. When Paul George went to the Clippers, what the OKC got back, I had to try and find the tweet. It's still giving. There's still picks that are coming back to them from that deal. Shea Gill just being one of those parts too. So it remade the whole OKC team into what they are, which is another very tough team. So it's great to see these teams turning it around, not quite overnight, but pretty quickly. Okay, so so that's the Magic. I guess we covered them as much as we could. Plus, Jamal Mosley, I like what he's doing with them as well. It's a good feel-good story, and I definitely want to get out there and cover some more of that, because they deserve some more shine.
Yeah, Coach Mosley has got them locked in on the defensive end, which has been great.
Yeah, they're top 5 in defensive rating. And that's another one of those surprising. Again, having Isaac out there really helps. But we have another super chat from Pimp named Slickback, which is another friend of the breakdown. Thank you, great to see you. How good do you think Haliburton can become? So I think I'm going to do a video on this. This might be next, except for the fact that somebody else just did one. So I got to figure out if I want to do one as well, which would be better. I don't know. It'd be different. But how great can he be? He can be as great as he wants to be. I don't know how else to say it, right? Haliburton is the real deal.
All NBA first team. I mean, in the MVP mix, I think like the MVP mix for years to come will be Luka, Jokic, Giannis, Anthony Edwards, SGA. And I think Haliburton's like right there, knocking on that door as well. So
you want to be, you're the first on the Haliburton MVP train. Look at you.
I don't think I'm the first. I was very high on him during the draft, though. Very high on him. I told everybody who was a Knicks fan, they shouldn't have drafted Toppin, which is ironically they're playing on the same team now. I just thought he was a guy that makes everybody around him better. He had that Jason Kidd effect, that LeBron effect, that Magic Johnson effect. Not saying he's them, but he has that type of effect on the game.
Yeah, and a joy, like to play with. Like he's all those things. And man, are they tapped into that in Indiana? They have an all-time great offensive rating. No one's ever had that high of an offensive rating. Although I can guarantee you, I don't think that the offensive rating will continue to go up every year. So 10 years from now, it'll be nothing. But what they're doing right now is it's truly incredible, and he is the engine that makes the Pacers go.
Yeah, I'd love to pick your brain on this. Are you surprised with how much an older coach like Rick Carlisle has embraced the modern game?
Yeah, well, when I think Luka, so Haliburton owes Luka part of his paycheck, I think, because Carlisle was the kind of coach for all those years who would call like every offensive set, every half court set. They had to look back. What do you want? Okay, we'll run it. Which is another reason why Rondo didn't work out very well there. But when Luka got there, he realized he needed to take a step back and let him be Luka, and that gave them an all-time offense. And so I think he learned. It's like, oh, okay, and which is good because as a coach, the last thing you want to do is have your players having like stare back at the bench every time to have a play. You want them to play free and make the decisions, and that'll make them better as a team overall. So I think that's carried over into what we're doing now, which is just a very free form, very high pace. Pace and space. I mean, listen, Ben Mathurin, I think you were also high on him too, right? Were you?
Yeah.
Just a phenomenal offensive talent, really. A lot. They have a loaded team offensively, and a lot of guys can do a lot of things with them. So Carlisle, I'm not surprised, solved a lot of that. You knew he could figure out how to get the pieces moving together to attack and do that, but. It's really, I'm sure he's sitting around for the ride too a little bit here with Haliburton and just enjoying watching him play.
You know what's interesting about them? I just thought of this. They're not really ISO heavy and they're not post heavy, which makes everything read and react. And it's really interesting. It's really fast. And I think that's what modern basketball is all about.
Right. So the question now is, can they do anything about their defense? Which is like they ranked 23rd, 24th, whatever that is. So you're going to have some wild games. What they put together against Atlanta when they were 154 to 152, something like that, the highest scoring game ever.
I think it was a combined 306, 309, one
something
of them.
Like that. Yeah. And so it's crazy stuff. Which, listen, I can applaud that when you see good team basketball and guys who are really enjoying the playing with each other, which seems definitely what we see there. And by the way, Orlando's the same way. I think Ben Caro had a really nice quote about that, where they all truly care about each other and they all want to play together. That said, I think that the Magic, there's an upgrade or two they need to make. So I was saying, did we say this in the last show, like Zach LaVine? Zach LaVine would be a nice addition there.
Yeah.
Well,
I shouted out Nathan Grubel, who's an NBA draft analyst, and he gave me that idea on Twitter, and I thought it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, he doesn't quite fit their timeline. He's a little bit older than some of those guys, but if they're really trying for all in right now to make a deep playoff push, I think that's the move. What they lack really is shooting in any kind of way. They're not the best shooting team.
Well, yeah, let's look at that real quick because team shot dashboard. Let's go here. Is this what I want to go to? Yeah. So right now, overall for 3-point shooting, the Magic are down at the bottom here, 28th. So that's not very good at all. And their frequency is, 25th, 30, 29, so they're not even taking a lot, which is, at least that's good, right? They're not a great shooting team. They're not taking a ton of them, but they're going to get into a battle with some of those teams that we're going to score. They're going to score 9, 10, 11, 12 threes. And if they can't maintain a pace somewhere near that, then they're going to get beat. So that's going to be a problem. But I like what they're doing. They're almost there. But and by the way, Knicks has the Streets Are Buzzing has a good point about John Isaac doesn't quite fit their timeline either. But although you know what, he isn't as old as we think he is, right?
I don't think he's as old as LaVine.
Isaac is 26. So he's
What's LaVine? 27?
Probably. I don't even know now. Let's look real quick what he is. Zach LaVine is where is it? He's 28. He's almost 29.
Oh wow, he's older. He's a little older than I thought. Wow.
Yeah. So it doesn't fit their timeline, but you know what? They might have a chance here in the East. Right now, the Celtics are really doing does anybody want to see a video on the Celtics? I feel like they're kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure anyone's on their minds, but they're 13-4, game up on the Magic and the Bucks. So,
No, does the return of Vucevic make sense?
oh, you mean for like Wendell Carter? Oh, so you want to switch them again back into their original teams? That would be weird. I like Wendell Carter Jr. By the way. I mean, I like his game.
Oh, he's very good. He's very good. He's very good. Yeah.
I don't know if Vucevic would be the answer. I think you're right when you say shooting. Shooting is what they need to get.
Yeah, I agree.
They got to get more shooting, and that's why like
How about
somewhere like that.
DeMar could shoot. He just doesn't shoot a lot of threes.
DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's shooting a little bit of threes, but yeah, I don't. You're talking about not fitting a timeline.
And also, I don't even. You know what? But I love DeMar's game. He doesn't fit many teams. It feels like.
Maybe. Yeah, I hear you. I definitely see like there's sort of a specific thing that maybe he doesn't fit, but he's a good player. What did you think about him getting all upset about the in-season tournament scoring stuff?
I mean, that's part of the game. That's how they play in Europe. Like I remember, like when I was playing overseas, that like I remember a team was pressing and they were like down 20 or something, and it was like 1 minute left. I'm like, what are they doing? They're like, point differential matters here. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, he's just not used to it. It's not. It's not what he's accustomed to.
In case you're wondering, really quickly, the in-season tournament has a point differential component to the rankings and standings. So you'll see teams that are up by 15 or 18 in the last minute, and they're still trying to score, so they can get a bigger point differential, and then they won't get left over by somebody else. And then that happened against the Bulls, and they tried to explain it to him, but I don't think he was having it. He got thrown out, from arguing. And by the way, there's a quicker trigger on that for the refs when the game's over like that. They're like, just get him out of here. We don't want to deal with him. I think Dave Dufour had a good quote about it earlier today that I saw on Twitter, and he said, "Why not just play until the buzzer sounds like you're supposed to, and not just disrespect the game by not finishing it?" That's a good take.
Interesting. What's up with Dave? I haven't heard from Dave in a while. He good?
Yeah, he was over here not too long ago. I think he's his usual self.
Oh yeah, he's a good guy. Good guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Maybe we'll get him on the show one of these days.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll see. He's always, he does like 10 different pods, so I don't know if he'll have time for us.
Yeah, he's a really good podcaster. Like,
I owe him. Like, I didn't have really a podcast until he forced me to do it with him. Did you know that?
Oh, nah.
I mean, like, I was like, all right, who wants to do a podcast? Yada, yada, whatever. And he's like, no, we got to do one. I'm like, oh, okay. And
so that's why you have the feed. So that's why you have the feed now.
That's why I have the feed.
That's why you have that's how you could get on Apple so easily. It all started with him, you're saying.
I mean, yeah. If you want to say being on Apple easily, I don't know. But either way, it all started pretty much with him. And so, tip of the cap to Dave, my brother from another mother. But yeah, I like his point, and that I think that stands. You should just play until the buzzer ends, and listen. I get about like not showing somebody up, and like it's funny because sometimes they don't quite play defense the last possession, and we every once in a while we see somebody go in like dunk it, right, and that almost causes a fight. But it's like you got to play defense a little bit at least, all the way to the end. So I prefer that.
I think the Bulls are just frustrated at this point.
Oh yeah, I think the whole thing is going to get torn down, and they probably should have done it 2 years ago.
I mean, if you want to look in hindsight, I mean, once Lonzo got hurt, it was over.
That was it. They had something for a brief moment. They really did. It was really exciting. Yeah, and they don't anymore.
Right. Yep. That Lonzo injury killed them. He was the connective piece, man. He made everything go there.
Yep. So you can't fault them for what they did. There was something there for sure, and it's just too bad. Coach, did you figure out the thumbs up thing? Oh, no. In fact, I was recording my political podcast earlier today, and it did it a few times. Do we ever think, my Jared, my podcast partner on that end, on the political side, says if you make the thumbs up, it'll come up, but I don't see it. And in fact, I emailed StreamYard to find out what that was about. I don't know if they got back to me yet, but I'm dying to find out. Let me see if they responded, because no one knows, right? But did I get a thumbs up already in this show? I wasn't even paying attention. Maybe I did. Strangest thing. Or someone in StreamYard is listening to this conversation and likes what I have to say. over a variety of things, politics, basketball. I don't know.
We say a lot of good things. So
yeah. By the way, if you want to listen to a really good, politics podcast, you should tune into the Muckrake podcast. It's my podcast over there, and it's really good. What else can we talk about?
Maybe we go short show today. I mean, I thought it was really good.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the games are going on. Let's just go do a quick recap of the games and what we're missing here. Okay. Yeah. And then I got one of those ADT calls. My dad's house window sensor went off. That's exciting. Yeah. In a whole other city, a whole other state. What are you supposed to do about that? But the Lakers got absolutely annihilated 138-94 by the Sixers in Philly, which is interesting. Let's see. We have the Trailblazers are up by 4 on the Pacers, who've only scored 103 points with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So that's interesting. Eventually, they're going to run out of some bullets, I guess, right?
Yep.
But Hallie has 31 and 7 right now. Made 3 for 6 threes. By the way, the Haliburton 3-point form, speaking of Ingles and all those guys, I wasn't sold, but I got to tell you, the dude's nailed 40% every year he's played. And that is elite. And I think he pinned a little faster, actually.
I think he pinned a tweet, like talking about, like, oh, they said my jump shot wouldn't work.
Yeah, he's talking to me, I'm sure. But hey, I little did I know.
Was he talking to you? Was he?
I might have said a couple things about him, like, yeah, but I think I would have also said, but there are guys that can overcome these things, right? Or figure this out and make it work.
Well, he didn't really change his form. It's just working.
Yeah. I saw one dribble, though, that would seem a little bit more quicker and better.
So here's the thing, Coach Nick. I've been saying this since draft time. Off the dribble, it's a little smoother than catch and shoot for him.
Yeah.
Oh, it's always been that way. Like
okay. So there you go. Yeah, that's what I was responding to for sure. Yeah. So yeah, people are talking some trash about Kentucky. Kentucky's actually good this year because they have been kind of bad, and for all the whatever, I'm not the hugest fan of Calipari, but I guess it's good to see them figuring some things out. Or
he gets good players to go to Kentucky. I'll tell you that.
Well, I know, but now the playing field is level, so it's like now what? Well, what do you have? Everybody can pay everybody.
He got a great meme.
That's the meme, like that face.
Yeah,
I don't know what that meme is. That's Calipari. Yeah. All right, I'll have to look it up. But let's see. Any other games we got to talk about here? The Wizards are blowing out the Pistons. The Pistons, man.
This will be a good. Oh, the Pistons. Yeah, the Pistons are struggling. Star Thompson's a real bright spot, though. He's different.
Right. And we still like Cade, but I don't know what's happening there. They're not really incentivized to win, I suppose. They want to get one more pick. I don't know, but the Pelicans are intriguing to me. They're a little bit above 500 with having Zion playing. Ingram is out, I think. Right? Am I crazy? I haven't gotten a chance to watch him for a little bit.
Nah, Ingram's been for a few minutes. I don't know if he's out tonight, but I've seen him playing. Yeah, he's been playing.
He has. Let me look real quick. But that's an interesting team there. But yeah, he played on the 25th, so he's been playing. Yeah. So it's up and down for them. I got to take a deep dive there to figure that out too, because I always thought if they had gotten those two guys together healthy, the sky's the limit. But I don't know. And then who else? We have the Clippers and Nuggets. That should be the big marquee game tonight at 7:30. Who do you have in that game?
The Nuggets.
Okay, even though they're in LA?
And no Jamal Murray? Yeah, even though.
Okay. Well, we'll have to find out because the Clippers are better.
You know why? I feel like Jokic at the end of the game, I think everybody always looks at the championship, the outlandish stats he gets, right? Like all the advanced metrics. But at the end of the day, when the game is close, nobody could take over like him. And he could do it in different ways. And he kind of doesn't show you all his cards throughout the course of a game. And then just at the end, it's
right. Well, we saw that. I want to say it was the Warriors game where there simply was no answer. And if they needed him to go down low in the block and score down there, that he would just do that every time. And if they needed him to, they doubled and whatever, they can just hit the cutter. It's like there really isn't. The only thing that's going to stop him is himself. And that's not the case.
He's a huge conundrum.
I mean, is it? I don't think it's conundrum. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows what he is and what he can do.
What I'm saying is you can't really double because how good of a passer is. He's a 3-level scorer. He can play with the ball. He could play without the ball. He could play as the screener. He could play as the guy with the ball, somebody screening him. He's just everywhere.
Well, please go watch the video from yesterday on Get Action because we even showed a clip of Jokic running it. Like he passed the ball, followed it back, they handed it off, and he just shot a wide open three because no one wanted to come out. He's not traditionally, he's a big guy who runs what big guys run get action like that. So that's the beauty of what Denver does too, is everybody flips and plays different positions. And yeah, you're right. The conundrum is certainly like how to defend it. You don't, there's no real answer to that. And that's a real problem. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely going to keep my eye on the Nuggets Clippers tonight. Maybe tweet some tweets out, some juicy tweets, spicy tweets, perhaps.
Sounds good. What are you up to tomorrow?
Tomorrow, it's Tuesday. I don't know. Another day, more clips, more footage. Try and get some more footage back from my Chase defense teams.
You're like JJ Redick in that commercial where he's like just drinking pounds of coffee with all kinds of mathematical things on the chalkboard, you know, and all the analytics and all the plays. And that's your life, Coach Nick.
That's exactly me, although I don't drink coffee.
Oh, okay. Well, I do.
You know what? I probably need some. I don't know about you, but I am exhausted coming off of that this past weekend. Exhausted.
So I had a great Thanksgiving, and I heard you did as well. And then I fasted the next day, which I think helps a lot.
Ooh, yeah. I just ate more turkey, and that also probably helped me get exhausted. But
well, then the day after, I ate some more turkey after the fast day. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, listen. Glad to hear they had a great one. That everyone's healthy and happy, and you're there. And glad to hear everybody else was here with us on the show. It's a great show. We'll be back again. We'll be back again next week, probably at our normal time, I imagine, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. Sounds good. And don't forget, sports fans, at People Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in?